Hey, this is Tadhg Ó Laoghaire from UCC Sophia Society, and this is the first episode of Soph-box, a series of videos of UCC students discussing various issues of philosophical, political and social interest. So anyone who read the blog I linked to my Facebook a few months ago will know I like to start with a contentious kind of statement. So here it goes. I don't think we should give a shit what the world looks like in 100 years' time. What's good is good for someone. What's bad is bad for someone. So when we talk about a better future, we're talking about a better future for someone. But take course of action A and take course of action B. If course of action A we stay the same and course of action B we all change one thing about our lives for the benefit of the future, there's billions and billions of differences between the two courses. In 100 years' time, those billions and billions of differences will have multiplied and interacted with each other, so it's safe to say that the worlds will be completely different. And given the contingency of one existence, it's quite likely that none of the same people will exist in world A and world B in terms of the children born in 100 years. So if we choose course A, we're not actually harming anyone. We're still giving the people in 100 years' time their life. And the people in B never have existed, never will exist anyway. So what responsibility do we have morally to choose course of action B to benefit the future? One argument would be some kind of religious argument in terms of some moral, metaphysical responsibility. I don't know. I respect religion and I sympathize with religion in these kind of discussions, and I think militant atheists who mock religion by talking about pink unicorns and celestial teapots are really shallow intellectually because they don't recognize how coherent and cohesive religion is in these kind of issues, something which a lot of atheists lack in terms of explaining these things. But I think we should actually just get rid of the moral ties altogether. Why? In short, if we keep one eye on the future, we take one eye off the present. And I don't think that's justified. One good way of explaining this, hopefully, is there's a quote by Dostoevsky in one of his books, The Brothers Karamazov, where one of the characters says to the other, if the eternal salvation of everyone depends on the suffering and torture of one little girl, I would reject that salvation. And that's a really profound statement because, I mean, it sounds a bit over emphatic when we hear it like that. But think about it like this. If we talk about the future, and actually, just while I'm on it, the future and the religion have a lot in common in terms of justifying hardships. And you know the way Marx talked about the opium of the people as religion. The future can act as the opium of the people as well in terms of, well, it's good for the future, so, you know, we'll take the present hardship as such. We have religious relationships with the future in our conceptions sometimes. But when we're talking about the future, we can have a morality based either on actions or the consequences of our actions. But we can't have it based on the consequences of our actions for the distant future because there's too many indeterminacies. There's no way of knowing what the consequences will be. So we can only have a morality based on the actions themselves. So how can you justify the action itself of torturing a little girl? Or taking it into the real world? How can you justify a system where 18 million people die from poverty every year? A third of all human deaths, one child every 10 seconds as far as I'm aware. How can you justify that? How can you say that it's okay to have some kind of institutional order which will benefit them in the long run, in the distant future? You're already killing that little girl millions and millions of times over for this hypothetical eternal salvation. I think looking at the future for our salvation is a get out of jail free card, in a sense, from dealing with the present problems, the present horrors and travesties. And I think our only moral allegiance should be to people who are alive today.